Hi, it's Anne here, and today's video is going to be a review of the Braun Silk Pro 5 IPL hair removal system. So this is basically a little light IPL hair removal system, at home system. Disclaimer, I guess at the beginning, this is not sponsored. I was not sent this product in PR. I was just super interested in trying out this product for myself. I've always been interested in doing like laser hair removal, but it's pretty darn pricey, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of lazy sometimes, like going out in the wintertime to try and go get something like that done. So when I saw that they started having these like home kits and home systems, I really wanted to try this. I did look at a bunch of different ones, and from the reviews I looked at online, this one seemed to be the best one, so that's why I went with this one. So I'm just going to talk about some things about the system overall, some pricing, some specs and that, and then I'll talk about my sort of personal experience with this. I've been using it since early January, so at the time of filming, that's about 14 to 16 weeks I've been using it. I will say on and off, not every single week, but we'll get into that a little bit later when I talk about my use of the product. So here in Canada, the product retails for about $500 Canadian. I ended up paying $372.89, so it was $329.99, and then I'm in Ontario, so 13% tax, so it was on sale. I bought it at Hudson's Bay online. I've seen it at on Walmart, on London Drugs, and on Best Buy. Between Best Buy and Hudson's Bay, they both seem to have it on sale on and off. The range, or the price that I normally see it on sale for, is about $379. So at $329, that's kind of the lowest I've seen it go for. I got that around Christmas time, so if you're willing to wait for it to go on sale, I definitely recommend buying it on sale, because it definitely does go on sale. I just don't know how often it goes to that $329 price. For people in the States, I have seen it online at Bed Bath & Beyond for $329 US. So the description of the product from their website, from Braun's website, says it's the most efficient IPL for visible hair reduction in just 4 weeks. It says it has 400,000 flashes to deliver an equivalent of 24 years of treatment. There's 10 intensity levels to ensure light intensity is right for your skin tone. And it has like 3 sort of sensitivity or care levels. This is the type of product that, as I said, I was looking at a bunch of different versions of products. So there's also a similar version to this called the Silk Pro 3. This is a case where I recommend actually going up. Like normally I'm like, find like the most economical version, and cheaper versions are probably okay. But I feel like when I was looking at the specs of the Pro 5 and the Pro 3, it's worth just going for the Pro 5. And I'll talk a little bit about that why closer to the end. It is a little bit more expensive, but I think it's better to have a little bit better quality of a tool. The product comes in this little case. I don't know if the case is for travel or not. I don't think I would ever travel with this device, but it's great for like storage. It kind of neatly packs it away. In the instructions, they give you like a quick guide, and then they give you like the actual instruction pamphlet. Here in Canada, the pamphlet is half English and then halfway through it's French. So it looks a lot longer than what it actually is. It's not really that long. It's not super complicated, to be honest. So this is what the device looks like without any attachment heads on it. You can see, I think like aesthetically, this is a really nice looking device. The white with the gold is really attractive. It does have a nice shape. I have small hands, and I still feel like the shape of it fits my hand pretty well. And I think even if you have larger hands, it's gonna fit the shape of your hand really well. Like that curve is a really nice shape. And then this is where your little like sensitivity settings are, and then this is what actually does the pulse. So it's a fairly simple layout. Along the sides there's like a little, what they call senso adapt, so that's it sensing the lightness or darkness of your skin, and if you're in the right contact with your skin as well to deliver the light pulse. There's actually 2 parts to this. So you have the cord. This part's the really long cord with the like box on this side, and then there's like a shorter cord that plugs into the wall. Now my pet peeve on this is, I don't know if I can show a picture of this, but in my bathroom, my plug is beside my sink. So this short part is really short, and then this part's really long. So this ends up like dangling above the floor because I normally sit on the floor to do my legs, and it's just super awkward. So I wish that they made this piece a little longer and this side a little shorter so that this could sit on the ground. Like I know from like an electronic standpoint, you don't want like a super long cord because it's not as effective like in terms of electricity, but I feel like they could have balanced it slightly differently, I think. Again, I'm not a technical expert, so maybe there's a reason why it's exactly this way, but if I were to design it, I would have made this side a little bit longer. It just would have been a bit more practical. Kind of a minor thing, but just from a practicality use. And then there's two heads, so this is the larger head. There's actually nothing, like you can kind of, I have tiny fingers, so I can kind of stick my finger. There's nothing there. You don't really want to stick your finger on that. You don't want to touch like the plate, I don't think, because you don't want to like scratch that or anything. But that's what the larger size looks like. And then it comes with a smaller targeted one that's easier to do like smaller areas, so like the bikini line or like under your arms. I actually don't mind using this one under my arms. It seems to work just fine. But the smaller one is nice. Even like around your ankles or like finer points like your shin bones, the smaller one's a little bit easier to use because it's a smaller surface area to get the two sensors to touch your skin, because it needs to like touch your skin like this, if that makes sense, for the sensor to go off, or for the sensor to be acceptable for the light to go off. So it's nice that it comes with the two different heads, so there's a bit of like flexibility there. Again, if I were to redesign this, I don't know if they could make a slightly more flexible head. As I mentioned, like around my ankles and around my shins, it's really hard to get a nice sort of flat base. Like I'm really small, so let me put that out there. I'm a tiny person. I'm a short lady, tiny boned structure. So my ankles and my shins and that are real bony, and even this one, it's really hard. What I end up actually doing is sort of angling it. So instead of like trying to go across my shin bone like this, I angle it along the side and kind of go up the side, if that makes sense. So that's it. Like that, it's a really, really simple components, and I really like that because it's not fiddly or anything. The only thing that I will say is, and I know this is dumb, you can turn it off. I think if you press, I forget what it says because I wasn't doing this properly. I think it's if you press and hold this button, it will turn off. That's not intuitive to me. I wish it had like an off button right on it, just so it was like easier to just shut it off right away, especially when you want to change the heads. Like I don't like putting it down while it's still on. So what I'll just do is like sort of plug it in right now so you can kind of see what it's like. The other thing I'll say is it's really bright. Just kind of talk about that it's really bright. I had to wear sunglasses when I was first using it, which was super awkward because it's really hard to even see what you're doing. And then the instructions are like, don't look at it while you're using it. And it's like, but then how can I see what I'm going with it? Like, it's a little awkward. So when I started, I was using these, like, these are really old sunglasses, but they're not super dark, so it's a little easier to see. Like, if I was using, like, really black, dark sunglasses, it would be hard, but these ones are, like, a lighter shade. They're not super dark, if you can see that. And I was wearing my sunglasses for especially the first few times I was getting used to it. So yeah, I'm going to plug it in and kind of show what it looks like and sounds like. I don't know how bright that light is going to look like on camera, so when I go to do it, I'll warn you so you can kind of look away, or I'll make a note like, yeah, it's too bright. But if it's not, I'll let you know. That makes sense. Okay, so let me plug this in. I'm not sure how you can see that. The little dots should be lighting up to let you know it's plugged in. And to sort of activate it, you just gotta press any one of the buttons. And hopefully you can hear that. So you can see, hopefully you can see the little sensing lights. It sort of sounds like someone's vacuuming in the hallway. Does that make sense? Like you're in a hotel room and someone's vacuuming in the hallway. It's got the same sort of fan sound, that sort of sound. It's not super loud. Like you should be able to hear me pretty well over this. And then these are the little settings. I don't know how well this is showing up on camera because it's really, really bright. But there's sort of 3 settings here. So that's it on the lightest setting. And I'll just do it on my arm here. And hopefully it's not too bright. So hopefully you can you see the little red lights on the side? if I'm not, again, I'm not sure how well that's showing up on camera. If I'm not quite flat, the little red lights show up and it won't fire off. So if it's like this, it won't fire. So if you get it right on there, so my lights are white, that's it. So yeah, that's it. That's basically it. I think if you hold it, it'll shut off. No, that's not it. This button? If you hold this button? Yeah, there we go. So if you hold the little comfort level button, the one with the little thing on, it shuts it off. But it's not 100%, it's still like charged, right? If that makes sense. It's still plugged in. The other thing is, it actually came with a Gillette razor. It was a nice razor that it came in the kit with, like a disposable one. I was kind of confused. I'm like, that's nice that you put a razor in there, but I don't know why you put a razor in there. And it's because you're actually supposed to shave before you use it. I don't know what I thought in my head, but I kind of thought it was gonna like zap the hairs and like kill the hairs. No, it's zapping the root. So you need to shave so the light can actually penetrate the skin to get to the roots, if that makes sense. And because of that, because your hair grows at different rates, your hair has different textures, it's not going to be consistent, if that makes sense. So the other thing I wanted to point out, so that's one thing that's really key, and they have this on the box, they have this on the website, although I laugh so hard because their skin color chart, like skin color number 2 looks gray. I don't know how clear this will be on camera. You can always pause it and see to see what kind of skin tone. Number 2 is apparently gray, so you're dead. I don't know. And what hair it works for. It's pretty narrow, even though there's lots of check marks there. Looks like a lot. It is a pretty narrow range. Like you have to have fairly light skin with fairly dark hair for this to work. I think it has to do with the contrast of the light penetrating the hairs. I'm not 100% sure. And also there is a bit of concern if you have really dark skin that the light could be damaging to your skin. So that's one thing that it does talk about. There's a big list of no's. Like, don't do this, don't do that, don't use it like this. I shouldn't say a big list, but a fairly decent list of when you shouldn't use it. Where is that list? Here we are, yeah, like there's a do not list all on this page. And the two things it says, do not expose treated areas to the sun, wait at least 7 days after treatment before exposing treated skin to sunlight. And it also says, here we are, previous page. It says, do not use the device if your skin has been artificially or naturally tanned recently or is burned from sun overexposure. So basically, for me anyway, I can't use this device past like mid-May through to like early October, because between those times I'll be wearing shorts, so my skin is exposed to sun fairly regularly, or I start self-tanning. Right now I am not self-tanning. My legs have not seen the light of day since October, so it's fine right now, but it does shorten the window on how long I can use the device for. Also, I do kind of have the ideal, I do have darker hair, like my natural hair, like this is fairly my natural hair. Obviously this is not. I have like dark brown hair and fair skin. So I do have the good combination. But yeah, I would say you kind of have to, if you have lighter hair or if you have darker skin, this probably won't work for you. And I would be afraid, honestly, I'd be afraid to use this if you have really dark skin. Again, they have the little chart in here. I think this chart's on their website as well. You can go to their website and see. It does say, please note the skin tones above do not relate to the Fitzpatrick scale. Anyone know what the Fitzpatrick scale is? There must be a skin color chart called Fitzpatrick scale. Anyway, yeah. It also talks about like if you have gray hair, it's probably not going to work either. So yeah, you've kind of heard me talk about the device, how it works, some initial thoughts of my feelings on how to work it and how it worked for me. But let me talk about sort of my progress. This is really just talking about like sort of the first 6 weeks or so. So I'll throw up some photos, but I'm going to say that I did have a hard time taking photos of my leg hair. Sounds ridiculous, but the camera doesn't really want to focus on leg hair apparently. Not a bad thing. But so some of the photos I felt like didn't really show my leg hair as much. So I'm going to kind of describe what I was also seeing in person. So the first photo was the pre-treatment photo. hair is really long. I think this is like 2 months of growth. I just kind of let my leg hair go. I knew I was going to buy this device, so I was kind of planning this. This is probably at least, I would say November, December worth of growth. And I'm kind of surprised how hairy my legs were in December. I didn't realize how hairy they were looking back at it now. So I try to let the growth go as long as possible, mostly as well to get like a consistent starting point from when I started using the device. Also kind of looking at this retrospectively, it's giving me a different perception now that I'm looking at these photos compared to what I was thinking prior to filming this. So, like as I said, initially I thought the device was supposed to zap the hairs. That's not how it works. You shave first and then it sort of zaps the root. It sort of kills the root of the hair so the hair doesn't grow back. Again, it can't work 100% consistently. Your skin is not consistent, your hair is not consistent. So it's going to not work 100% evenly and perfectly. And as I said, the first few times I used it, I had to use sunglasses because it was way too bright. I do have really light sensitive eyes. My pupils don't shrink down very far. They're pretty dilated all the time, apparently, according to my eye doctor. So I do have really light sensitive eyes. Like I'm supposed to wear sunglasses all the time, which I don't really do, but probably why I have a lot of wrinkles around my eyes too, because I'm always squinting. Anyway, sidetrack. So yeah, the different size of heads, I did like being able to switch between the different size of heads. And more so the smaller head was just easier for like areas that were a little bit more curvy in a bumpy way, like the shins and the knees and the ankles, than really needing a smaller, like the large head is not that large. At least I don't feel like it's that large. Like I said, I could do my underarms with the large head, no problem. So looking at week 1 of the photos, looking closely, I can see a lot of stubble. I can see a lot of hair that's ready and waiting to grow in if I just let it go. So my hair does grow not super fast. I feel like some hairs grow a lot faster than others. I think that's kind of obvious in the photo, but it definitely doesn't look like, at least week 1, it didn't look any different than if I just shaved my legs and then let them go for a week. By week 2, still seeing stubble, still seeing some tiny hairs, but I felt like it was maybe a little bit, ever so slightly better than the week before. Again, really hard to tell. Also, you'll notice in a lot of the photos that I have goosebumps because it was really cold here in January and February trying to take photos, and my apartment just doesn't get warm enough in some of those minus 20 days. So it was hard to like see progress because the goosebumps weren't helping. But I felt like it was ever so slightly better than week 1, but not really a whole lot. Again, was it just because I shaved 2 weeks in a row? So I don't know. So fast forwarding a couple weeks, I can't remember if I skipped a week. So as I said, I'm recording this about 14 to 16 weeks after trying this, but I didn't use it consistently every week, mostly because I was kind of giving it a break. Well, 2 reasons. I was kind of giving it a break to see, is it working? Like I felt like I needed to wait a little bit longer to see if it was working. Also, I'm lazy, and some weeks, like, I just didn't really want to use it. Especially, like, again, it's cold. When it's so cold, you don't want to, like, I just want to, like, get out of the shower and throw clothes on. I don't want to spend even, like, 2 minutes trying to use this product. So, week 4, I can't remember if I skipped week 3 and, like, using the product or just skipped taking photos that week. I can't remember 100%. But again, there are some sporadic hairs that look noticeably longer than the first time around, so I think maybe I did skip a week of treatment. I just let the hair grow for a couple weeks. And again, I kind of took a photo of both of my legs together just to kind of see, like, if you were looking at my legs, how noticeable would the hairs be? And I feel like they're pretty noticeable still. Like, again, not great, but still, like, maybe a little bit better than had I not been using the device at all. So week 5 is when I really feel like I started to notice results. And now this is where I want to say results are patchy. And this is, I think, using this kind of device, I've had to reset my expectations. And like I said, looking at these photos in hindsight now, I'm like, oh, it is working. But I kind of felt as I was going through this, it wasn't really working. At least it wasn't working as fast as I had hoped, and it wasn't working as, like, consistent. Like, I was really hoping, like, I would have, like, barren landscape on most of my legs with maybe some little patches, where I feel like it was like 50-50. Like there was definitely areas where it was patchy, especially places like around my shin and around my ankles, where I have a hard time getting the device to really adhere, whereas like the back of my calves, super easy. They're nice and squishy, and I can just like it applies, or like I can glide it along there so much easier on the back of my calves. So yeah, week 5, I definitely felt like it was looking a lot better. When I kind of look back at the photos, I'm like, okay, yeah, definitely the device is working. I can see it's actually working now. It's, again, maybe not as dramatic or as obvious as I had hoped it would be, but if I actually look at my legs and if I feel my legs, it's definitely working. So by the end of March, so this is about a month ago now, I used the device most weeks. Like I said, I skipped a week here and there just to kind of, again, test, is it working or not, to really see a difference. But when I look at the photos from the end of March, again, I definitely feel like there is improvement compared to when I think back to like week 4. And again, I feel like, so I took a picture of like my legs together and was like, if somebody was standing away from me, could they see the hairs on my legs? And I was like, oh, maybe not. Like, they would definitely probably have to look a little bit better, look a little bit closer to see if they could see those hairs compared to when I did that photo around week 4. The one thing that I do want to say though is from a touch perspective. So even though when I was looking at my legs, it looks pretty clean, like there's, you know, patchy spots where there's some hairs, but there's spots that look pretty bald, it doesn't feel super clean. It's not going to feel the same. Right now, at least for me, it doesn't feel the same as if I shave my legs. And I think what that has to do with, again, hair texture and hair growth is not 100% consistent. And I feel like I'm feeling some of the hair, the finer hairs on my legs, so some of the blonder, thinner hairs that the device is not going to do anything to, just because it needs like the darker hair with the lighter skin kind of combo. And so like I'm not 100% like disappointed in that, but it's kind of reset my expectations that I'm not going to have these like super clean, smooth, silky leg the exact same way that you get when you shave, because the device is just not going to work on some, like, think of your face, right? So if anybody out there does any like face shaving, you really can't see some of those little peach fuzzy hairs, but you can feel them, especially if you sort of use the little face shaver and shave them off. You definitely feel a difference. I feel like that's what it's like. I'm hoping that makes sense in describing like the texture difference, where when you shave you have that perfectly clean because you're getting all the little tiny baby hairs and everything, whereas this device is really only killing the bigger, thicker, coarser hairs. That makes sense. There's still little hairs sticking around. So yeah, when I look at my legs now, this is how I kind of describe it. Like when my hair was growing in the, you know, if I just shave my legs regularly and let them go. Now I will preface this with, over the past few years, I've been using an epilator. Is that the word? I call it the whippersnapper. It's the device that like whips around and like pulls the hairs out. It kind of hurts. You get used to it. It's super loud. Like that device, too bad I don't have it right here, because if I had it right here, I could plug it in, you could hear it. It's really loud. It's actually a Braun device too, I think. So I've been using that on and off over the past couple of years. So I do have some sparseness on my legs anyway, because that, when it rips the hair out, eventually it pulls it out enough that the hair doesn't grow back again. But I would say prior to using the device, my hair growth, if I shave my legs, it would come back and it would be kind of like AstroTurf. Like it would be fairly consistent, fairly coarse, and you could, you know, see it and feel it in like a fairly consistent manner. Whereas now, my legs are sort of like the front lawn at our house. There's like bald spots here, some really long crabgrass over here. I don't know what that little piece is over there. The grass at our house doesn't grow at all. So it's like patchy, like it's going away, but it's not consistent, and it's taking its time. But yeah, like I said, looking back, I am seeing improvement. That when I was using the device week to week, I was like, oh, is it really working? I don't know. Like I was kind of feeling a little like, and I am still feeling like it's a little slower than what I had hoped for. I was totally hoping for like hot girl bare leg summer, not having to shave or anything all this summer. That's not gonna happen. But I'm hoping, again, like I'll be able to pick it back up again in like October and have a little bit longer with it over the winter time next year. And then maybe next summer I'll see longer term like improvement. Whereas right now I feel like I can get away with not shaving my legs for like a week, but there's stubble, like there's still stuff growing back in. It just doesn't look like I didn't shave for a week. It looks like maybe I didn't shave for like a few days, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's been interesting. I'm considering like I'll see, like again, I don't think I'm going to see a whole lot of progress over the next few weeks while I can continue to use this. So I don't think I'll update it in the next few weeks to see if there's any more progress, but maybe in a year's time, I'd like to do an update. Again, I think it's the kind of device I'm really curious to know if you stop using it, which I probably won't be able to test for a while, but if you stop using it, does it just like, does the hair start growing back and you really have to like, is it like certain things like, is a sort of an opposite thing, but like brow growth serum that you have to keep using. The other thing I do want to note is I think it said it had like 400,000 flashes or something. That's going to last forever. As long as the device like doesn't cack out. You only use like a couple hundred flashes every time. Like I'm thinking about it, like I think it's only a few hundred flashes. Like it's not a whole lot. Like it definitely seems like it will last a really long time as long as it doesn't like totally kaputs out. The other thing I want to talk about is that I'm sure people are wondering, like, does it hurt or not? I don't think it hurts. Again, I've used the epilator, so I have a high pain tolerance. I've also waxed myself. High pain tolerance. That really hurts too. This doesn't feel like that though. It does sometimes feel like, if you've ever had IPL in the past, like I've had IPL in the past, actually on my arms for something else. And sometimes it feels like a little, you know, when somebody takes an elastic and sort of flicks you with an elastic, but there's that sensitivity level. So if you put it at the really lowest level, you're not going to feel, like I didn't feel anything. And when I started using it, I was using it at the lowest sensitivity level. Again, you're maybe not getting the best results using that, but it makes it a little easier. I feel like once you go to that top level, sometimes you'll still feel it, and sometimes it does feel, sounds bad, but it's the truth, like a little bit burny, a little bit, but not like, not horrendous, not like so bad that you're scared of using it. Like if you've ever waxed, you put, like I've done the ones where like you warm it up and then you put it on your leg and then you're like, okay, ready, 1, 2, 3. You're doing that. It's not like that at all. It's definitely like, you kind of might feel like, oh, that felt a bit awkward or a bit uncomfortable, but not painful. Like not to the point where like you want to throw the device down and stop using it. I'll also say it's maybe not the fastest device, or like, I mean, it's pretty fast, I think, compared to some of the similar devices. Like I admit I'm totally lazy, and it does take a few minutes. Like you've got to plan to use it because you have to shave your legs before you use it, and then you can't, like in the wintertime, if I'm in the shower, I want to like jump out, throw on lotion, throw on my clothes and get going because it's cold. Whereas like you can't do that right away because you can't put lotion on right away. You've got to like shave your legs, get out, dry off, use the device, then you can put on lotion. And yeah, sometimes I'm like, it's a lot of steps. So that's still better though for me, like from a time perspective, compared to like booking an appointment and going somewhere, because I think the actual time that you use it on your leg is the same time that it would take a professional. Plus, I would have to like travel and wait in the waiting room and all that kind of stuff. So from a time perspective, it is technically faster, but you have to do it yourself. So sometimes it's just easy to get somebody else to do it, if that makes sense. The other thing that I would say, the cost though. The cost is so dramatically different than if I were to get laser hair removal at like an actual salon. So here in Toronto, you're going to be between $200 and $400 per session. So just using the device once covers one session. I think though, if you go to professional, you probably would see better results in a shorter period of time. Like I think it takes about 6 sessions to really see good results. Whereas I think this device, because it's going to be a lower grade, it's not going to work as fast. It takes more sessions. So if you have the patience to wait for it, it's obviously way better from a price perspective. The other thing I do want to mention, I talked about sort of like the light skin, darker hair combo for the device. That's not specific to this device. That's an IPL thing. So like even if you go to a salon, you're still going to have that same situation. They probably have slightly better tools that have a broader range, but it's still going to be an issue. So if you have really, really dark skin, or if you have really, really light hair, it's not going to work for you regardless of using this device or any sort of IPL device. So yeah, I would say overall, I am happy that the device is working. I am seeing results, but albeit it is a bit slower than what I had hoped for. And the like effects or the outcome is maybe not as dramatic or as quick as I had hoped they would be. I didn't expect it to be like dramatic over like one use, but I kind of felt like at this point that it would be much clearer for much longer, and I'm not quite there yet. But anyway, that's my impression of the device. I think it's worth it for me. It might be worth it for you. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already, I would love it if you subscribe to my channel here in Toronto, Canada. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you sometime soon. Bye.